media company, and Catherine was very kind to invite me because you guys had another speaker who couldn't make it. So I was very flattered. And we'll be talking a little bit about Hispanic media today. So while we're waiting,
we're excited to hear you. As a matter of fact, we're excited for today.
Thank you. Okay, who wants to go next?
Well, I want to go next. Victor Vargas, from Student Title. It's a title company. It's my first time in the group, so I'm very happy to be part of it. We just became member, and so yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, welcome. And
Thank
Chris,
you.
I know we've seen you around. Chris is behind the scenes on a lot of the publishing that happens at the Morris County Chamber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Reardon of Reardon Communications. I'm a storyteller. I help businesses, my clients, tell their stories. I write their websites and their blogs, their marketing materials. I do business plans, LinkedIn profiles, really anything to do with the written word. And I'm also editor of the Chamber's magazine, Business Edge. And I've written about this committee.
Awesome. Thank you.
I should say I edited the very fine writing of the committee.
You're welcome. We've got Jessica. We haven't seen you last time. How are you?
Good. How's everybody doing? My name is Jessica Padilla Gonzalez. I'm the executive director of the Housing Partnership. We are a HUD-approved NeighborWorks homeownership center that offers homebuyer education, financial coaching, free foreclosure, and rental counseling. And we're starting our first live webinars on Thursday. So wish us luck. And within 20 minutes, I only have 100 licenses. They were all gone for my webinar. So we got 100 people registered in 20 minutes.
You are awesome.
So we're hoping that we continue that trend, and the workshops are Affordable Housing 101 and kind of explaining the process, how to get yourself on the list, where they are, the history, and how to be prepared so when an opportunity becomes available.
You're a nonprofit though, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
Did you call Zoom or inquire? They have nonprofit pricing, and you can actually add on an add-on so that you can get more than 100 participants.
So we went back and forth with it, and because, I have an amazing small staff. We're small and mighty, so it's only 4 of us who serve about 1,000 people a year. So we said if we keep it to 100, it's manageable so that we can answer everybody's questions. So What we've done is we've started to add, we're going to do 1 workshop a month. We might do 2. So we have a morning and evening, a morning and evening. And then hopefully it's a little bit more personal than like a 500 group. So
Gotcha. Okay, well, just in case you know. So, okay, sorry about that. Holly, you're joining us. Oh, you're still muted, hon. Can't hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike's. We'll come back to Holly. Catherine, did you get a chance to introduce yourself yet?
So I'm Catherine O'Hara, co-host with the lovely Lorena. I am the most Irish sounding Cuban you'll ever meet, and am a founder of the O'Hara Project, which is a marketing and PR firm based in Morristown, New Jersey. Great to see everyone, and looking forward to this chat. It's going to be great. You're going to love her.
Beautiful. And Holly, are you good? Oh, she's joining with her there.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you. I can.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
I don't know. That was really strange. I don't know what happened, but I just wanted to pop back to Jessica for a minute. Jessica, I usually attend the Connecting Dover meetings, and I missed last week's, but I watched the video yesterday, and wow, you did a great job facilitating that panel discussion. I really loved it. So you've got a lot of talents up your sleeve.
We're gonna have to record some more stuff. It seems like
self-help is my specialty. So I have read thousands of books. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
I hear you, but it's not easy to facilitate something like that. And you did an excellent job. Seriously, thanks.
That's awesome.
It's good to be back in the house. And also, Ed, I watched you can tell I'm all over the place here. I watched your was it Digicon on Friday evening. That was my dinner entertainment. Feels special. You were there for my husband and I and a bottle of wine. We were watching it, but seriously, I'm so impressed just with the resources and just how polished everything was. It was really nicely done. So
isn't it amazing just when you watch an event and then they go and then they knock it out of the ballpark or like the next one, you're like, wow, this is like great. Like, look at the name we got. And then you turn around and it's like, oh, by the way, we're having an astronaut talk on like the 28th, like, right? Like just when you think you've gotten to that point and then it's like, boom, we're going to blow it up a little bit more.
Or just, I mean, I know it's not the same being in person. I mean, nobody's going to argue that point, but at the same time, the value that I could sit down and watch it when it was convenient to me. And that, you really felt like, I mean, the way they used the chat to answer questions, you know what I mean? Like you didn't feel like it was staged. It felt live. You felt like you were in the room. So just hats off. Honored to be among the group is what I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Hey, Holly, we don't know where you're from. For those
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm with Family Partners of Morris and Sussex County. We're a nonprofit that provides support to families who have children between the ages of 3 and 21 with the challenge. And that can be anything from mental health to developmental, emotional health, behavioral. I like being a part of this group because we have a big outreach into the Spanish community, Spanish speaking community. And I have several bilingual counterparts, and we're just trying to figure out how to do it the best way and also just network with other people that can help us help more people. So happy to be in the room.
Beautiful. And Ed, did you get a chance to speak and introduce yourself yet?
No, well, I'm the Director of Business Resources and Professional Development for the Chamber. I'm the liaison for this group and also for the Entrepreneur Roundtable. And I love this group. I just love Latinos. There's energy all around us. So I'm just looking forward to learning, growing. I really want you guys to spread the word about this group. Like Lorena said, we're a new group. We've had a few issues trying to set up 9 o'clock, 9:30, but moving forward is going to be at 9 a.m. And we're going to have a great time. So we want everybody to stay connected. And I'm going to make sure that I keep sending out those emails, reminders for you to connect with us. But we thank everybody for being here with us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key thing. Now that we're going to have the reoccurring set time frame where we're not jumping around from day to day, it's going to really help. So for those of you that don't know who I am Lorena Mosquera, and I am the president of LWNH Business Solutions. I am the co-chair of the committee with the fabulous Catherine O'Hare. My business, we are all about automating processes for marketing, sales, operation, and finance. Our goal is to free up employee time, increase efficiency, and at the end of the day, catch tricks, because above it all, I am a total Excel nerd and geek when it comes to technology. So we are all about making sure that everything kind of is talking together to make sure that it's as efficient as possible. We are so happy that this committee is still meeting together, and just in the very few months that we've been together, Jessica was there, I think, for that very first meeting where we were kind of just brainstorming a couple of ideas. We've been able to put it into fruition. So just to give you guys an update on our agenda for today, we do have a fabulous speaker that we're very excited to hear, but we wanted to give you just a little bit of update. The idea that we spoke about, for those of you that don't know, was during our very first, I think, session that we ever had. We had some brainstorming as to how could we go back to helping the Hispanic community, the minority community in the area, particularly with COVID. And one of the things that came up, my mic is breaking up all day long. No matter which mic I use, it is doing the same thing. Hold on one second, I'm going to switch.
Bear with me a second. How is that? Is that better?
Much better.
Much better.
Okay.
Better.
Don't know why every single mic I use today is not working. Hopefully it stays good. If not, just please text me again. So one of the things that we talked about was how small businesses are having a really hard time competing with the Amazons of the world, right? Like we can't compete as a small mom and pop shop compared to like the massive discount warehouse wholesalers. So our goal was to really come up with some sort of idea to give them access to more buyers, to more consumers without having to spend a ton of money. And one of the things that we kind of focused on is, yes, there is a lot of Ubers and DoorDashes out there, but they all take a huge cut of the pie when you're using them. So how can we help primarily restaurants, right? Because restaurants in that Dover, Denville, Rockaway area that are in Morris County don't have websites. A lot of them are mom and pop Spanish speakers. They don't really know how to create a website, how to kind of get one started. How do we really get them to understand that there's this whole market that they're missing out on social media and on the web, where people can literally still order, pick up on their way home, because we're still going out in some capacity. They don't have the space for indoor dining. They don't have the space for, that some of the other restaurants have. So how do we really help them? And Ed, knowing the restaurants, knowing some of the small businesses, because he's out there all the time. Catherine, with her genius PR mind that she has, it's like, I know how we can make this like something really great. We basically put our heads together, started brainstorming, reached out to some of the contacts within the chamber. At the end of the day, we were able to find a really great solution that we actually have now totally officially formed and launched. So please share the information about this program. We'll send the link on the chat as well. But it's basically called a virtual mall. So if you can think about when you go on to into the mall, you have that like sign that tells you what stores are in the mall so that you know where they're located, that little map. This is basically the same way, but it's all going to be electronic. So any member of the Economic Business Development Corporation or the EDC or the Morris County Chamber of Commerce will be able to join. They pay a small flat fee. I think
$295 if you're not a member, of either $195 if you are a member. And for that nominal fee, which covers administrative and goes back into the kitty to help other businesses get back on there, it gives you basically eyeballs, virtual foot traffic to get to your store for all Morris County businesses. So now it becomes a collective. So rather than being a one brick and mortar trying to shout off the rooftops to get people to come to your store, now we are creating a one destination for Morris County mom and pop retailers, from bookstores to restaurants to salons, which don't have a business model that is Amazonable, right? And now you can go there. There's a drop downs based on category of business. You can shop, you can get gift cards, you can order. There you go. There it is. So
this is basically what the virtual storefront. These are all placeholders right now, so that you can see when you go to the EDC, it's called the Main Street, and the fabulous Catherine did our little logo for us. But you can see that this is what she's talking about.
So you can drop down by category. And then if for retailers that already have a digital or virtual destination, when you click on it, it takes you right to their website, and then you can enjoy an e-commerce shopping experience through that. For retailers that do not have an existing e-commerce existence, we have arranged an amazing opportunity through Lorena's organization, where for a ridiculous cost, they can get a e-commerce microsite that can be built within a week, that has capabilities that are bananas, that you wouldn't see for under 5 figures at all if you tried to build this thing.
So what we ended up doing is, for those of you that don't know, there is something called a microsite and an e-commerce, right? So an e-commerce website is basically what you think of when you're looking at a big retailer that has a website presence, that has a shopping cart. When you go to it, you click to add items to your shopping cart, and then you check out. Those websites are usually very expensive. They require a lot of maintenance. They require a lot of updates, and they're not done cheaply, and they're not done quickly, right? Because they're done in a very methodical process. You've got to do a lot of techie behind the scenes, and those can run, several thousands of dollars, and as they should, because they're going to meet your brand and your presence and your image to the T, right? It's going to really send out your message. What ends up happening though is a lot of the mom and pops, a lot of the small retailers, they just don't have the budget for that. They don't have the knowledge to keep up with that, nor the know-how as to where to begin. So one of the things we thought about was, how can we make this easy, affordable, and kind of like, not necessarily a cookie cutter, but make it so that it can be put up and fairly quickly and make it live and ready to go. The idea is not that this is not going to be a permanent, replacement to your website. This is not going to replace any other big, huge website endeavors that you might want to have, but it is an idea to get you in the door, to get you to have some online presence in the here and now, which is when we need it the most. So what we've done is partnered up with something called a microsite platform. Microsites are basically mini e-commerce platforms that allow us to get everything launched relatively quickly. Now, my team, we're not website developers. We don't claim to be marketing strategists. We don't want anything to do with any of that. But what we are is tech geeks. And because of that, we can, create a process to create something relatively quickly, and then just kind of keep doing it over and over again. So what we've done is we've created this virtual storefront for all the businesses, but we've tied it into a grant that we were able to secure. And this grant will allow businesses to capture in on this microsite opportunity without having to spend a lot of money. So we actually right now have it open. We have the application. So on the website, you will see that you can actually click here to join the chamber. You can click here to learn more about the storefront. They can actually go in here and see all the details as to how it actually works, what the process is. But the most important part is that the application grant is now live. So when they click on that, the application grant is totally, completely live. It's in Spanish and in English, so that any participant who wants to try to get considered for this grant will be able to do so now. We are going to have 4 businesses selected, and we're hoping to do that relatively quickly because it is a rolling admission type of thing. We're hoping to select 4 businesses, hopefully across various, industries and categories, to receive 100% of the microsite paid for by the grant. So that's huge. Everyone else after that, it's going to depend on how much money is in the grant, but the fee itself to set up the microsite is only $1,650. So it's very, very affordable, and it's going to get them up and running so that they can actually have a mini microsite for e-commerce where they can sell up to 8 items relatively quickly and with relatively small fees. So it's live, it's ready to go. We are super excited about it. The amount of work that was put into this in a relatively short time was quite awesome. And I cannot say enough about Catherine and her genius when it comes to the PR, because the flyer is amazing. The information is right on point. The wording that was used and the way she got out to all the resources in the media. We've done some great interviews. We've got some great press coming, and I'm really, really excited about how this is going to take off. So please share this, because we know that those folks that are out there right now that need this kind of information are not necessarily on the social media, the YouTubes or the Facebooks of the world. It's really going to be more of, who do you know? And big important thing, not only is the application in Spanish and English, but the site that we're going to be using, the microsite platform that we're using, which is Square, actually allows you to have an English forward-facing site while you still have a Spanish-speaking behind-the-scenes system, so that you don't have to worry about screwing it up if you're not 100% English proficient. Did I cover all the details? Did I miss anything?
Jessica raised her hand. Jessica has a question.
Yes.
My question was, once this is up and running, us as small, as organizations, is this a link that we'll be able to add to our web pages, like additional resources in Morris County?
This is completely live. It's totally done. You'll be able to link to it. If you just go right to the economic business development site for the Morris County, click on resources, virtual storefront. And it's totally live. The links for the PDF, the link for the application. These are your placeholders right now because we don't have the businesses up and running, but it's all completely live. So you can link up to it now.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can we put the link in the chat maybe?
I'm doing that right now.
Thank you.
Gonna do that for everyone. And here you go. Okay, so please share this. Like I said, we really would like to get the 4 businesses that are going to get the 100% paid for grant ASAP, so that we can really kind of start promoting the success of that, and then have more businesses kind of pick up on that. So,
and as we mentioned about application fee, paying for admin costs, because if you think about it, we have to go in here, we have to upload, we have to fill out the information. That said, the more businesses that join in a paid format, the goal is to be able to provide grants for more businesses going forward. So given the fact that this was the birth conceptually from the Hispanic Affairs Council, and understanding that while we understand that diverse business owners and diverse businesses all have been disproportionately impacted by COVID. Obviously, there's a special love for Hispanic businesses in this organization, and that we have 4 grants. We're starting with Hispanic-owned businesses, but the goal is to open that up as well moving forward as funds permit.
Yep. Okay, and with that, we are going to move on
to Carla.
Yeah, I'll let Catherine do the introduction.
So, so Carla introduced herself. So what I want to point out for Carla, that she and I had a great chat yesterday, that what I find absolutely monumental about what she has accomplished is to do a media format that operates both monolingual and bilingual, a media format that has to consider international, national, regional, and local media across not only tri-state populations, but considering of country of origin interests as well, and doing so in a proportionate way for her. Like, there is so much she has to think about in putting in content that directly speaks to an audience, that which is why we shared this with the Greater Chamber, that she marries up perfectly to the mindset of Hispanic Affairs, that while yes, the lipstick on the outlet does have clearly a Spanish title, it is bilingual in terms of second language being Spanish, but Hispanic Affairs brings, as an organization or as a council, isn't just being Hispanic, is understanding that that audience in some capacity is of importance to you and your business, and seeing that what she does and the lessons learned are farther reaching than just being Hispanic, and it's lessons that we can all learn from business. So we're going to go through this. I asked her tons of questions and picked her brain yesterday, so I'm going to let her go into her thing, and then I'm going to do my thing and jump in and try and pretend I'm Lorena and moderate, but I'm nowhere near as good as she is. But Carla, the floor is yours.
Hey,
go ahead.
Cara or Kara?
Oh, Cara.
My last name is Marcano. So actually, I just wanted to confirm one data point. You guys were speaking about these grants. I know that Catherine and I originally had met, I guess you say at this time. You had flagged for me a $1,500 storefront grant also, right? That's a separate grant program, you know, like for when.
No, it's $1,650.
Okay, and it's the same program that we talked about earlier, right? When we were
yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Okay, so my name is Cara Marcano. I run the Spanish newspaper and website for New Jersey. Our company is called Reporte Hispano. If you want to see our website, I'm not an expert on pulling up screens and doing presentations, I have to admit. I like to work in person. That said, if you're interested in seeing our website, I think it would give you a flavor for what we're trying to talk about here. It's reportehispano.com. Can anybody bring it up? Or
Lorena's doing it.
Thank you. Okay, so that's our website of our paper. You can see that you know, one of the primary things that we do is run the local media outlet for New Jersey for Hispanics, which is a really, if you think about it, I don't know how well versed all of you are in the big picture of the market here in New Jersey, and then specifically to Morris County. You know, New Jersey is one of the largest Hispanic markets in the country by far. I mean, we have like almost 3 million people here who identify as Hispanic according to the US Census, which is public data. So that, you know, every 10 years, I don't know how familiar everyone is with this, the government does a census. It's like a legally required thing. And every year data is created from the census, and we can see, all of us actually have access to this data. It's our tax dollars pay for it. And it, you know, by zip code, we can see, it's not perfect data, but people self-identify, you know, they fill out these forms. And also governments and organizations have interest in having people at these times every 10 years, you know, be counted, right? So, so we know that we have like 3 million, almost 2 million Latinos in New Jersey, making it one of the largest Hispanic markets in the country. It's one of the wealthiest Latino markets. So if you look at like median income, and I'm talking about Hispanics overall, obviously there are many types of Hispanics and many language, you know, some people only speak English, some people speak English and Spanish, some people only speak Spanish, some people speak another native language that is not Spanish or English, that's their first language. So I think we forget that.
A lot of people forget that in South American countries, there's a lot of still very native, you know, Indian languages that speak. I know my grandmother spoke Quechua, which nobody here would know. And, you know, so it's very different. Yeah, you're totally right though.
That's fascinating, right? So like, how would you know that unless you shared that, or somebody had been there or something like that. So, so we run essentially the main media outlet for this population, main, you know, journalism brand, I'm going to call it. And you know, I know that we use the term media a little bit more loosely nowadays, but we are really the only quality journalism brand for, you know, newspaper and website. So we're a lot of digital first also. for covering this population in Spanish first and foremost, and then also specifically with a focus on like covering Latinos. So traditionally, I mean, this is a whole, I mean, I'm kind of like a media geek, so, and I'm a journalist by training, so I could go on and on about these topics. But, you know, essentially we are offering the main product here for a very large market, and we have almost 600 towns in New Jersey, you guys know this. And we are trying to provide quality information, and we have built like a pretty trustworthy brand around this idea, right? And so we're sort of like the Star Ledger for Latinos, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. And again, these brands, like the Star Ledger, perhaps in some ways is not what it used to be. New Jersey is very challenged as a media ecosystem because it's a lot of small towns at a time when local media, I think, is somewhat struggling, right? So overall in the general market, and you know, it's a lot of different places to cover, as you guys know. I mean, you guys mentioned, I think, just 4 cities here talking about Morris County Hispanics. And, you know, you guys mentioned Dover, Morris, we cover Morristown pretty aggressively, Denville and Rockaway. I mean, that's 4 towns right there, right? And that's just maybe the top 4 towns by Hispanic population in Morris County. Like, you know, we cover the whole state. So it's a pretty important topic. I mean, it's now New Jersey is not a swing state like in federal elections, so on certain topics we're sort of not discussed. But we're a large state with a lot of people. Our people have high incomes, like everywhere. So, for example, the Latinos here have higher median incomes than Latinos almost anywhere else in the country. Just like the white non-Hispanics have higher incomes in many of our zip codes, right? So that's very similar in some ways. And so it's like a really important market. We had a long conversation, Catherine and I, about some of the touch points. There are obviously some cultural touch points. There's language issues, you know, and there's various reasons why an organization may or may not want to be outreaching to this population, right? And so we've built a very successful brand. So we have our website. The main point I think I'd like to talk about is she asked me to speak about, you know, how to pitch to the media and how to engage with us, right? So the other topics are also very broad. I mean, I don't want to bore you with the gory details of like how we try to cover everything that we cover. But like from your point of view, how if I were you, like how would I try to think about engaging with the media? What is it that we want to see from a good partner when we're talking about somebody who provides us with information or advertising or you know, these kind of things. So does everybody understand what we do? I mean, we run the website. We also do run the print paper, right? So here's the paper. You can get a subscription for your organization. We also have a website link where you can like become a member. We appreciate that. One of the things I'm going to just say, which seems really obvious, is any media outlet that you want to work with, including ours, Reporte Hispano, you want to like be familiar with it, right? So you want to read it. You want to get the newsletter. It's just like, so for example, I would like to work with the Housing Partnership. I really should get their newsletter. I should really try to understand like, what are they doing? Where are they doing it? You know, for example, affordable housing, we work on a lot of affordable housing. Affordable housing has like legal mandates for advertising. So we do a lot of affordable housing advertising. We do, whenever possible, a lot of translation work. You know, if we deal with a lot of people who on staff, maybe you guys know someone who's getting asked to do the translation work on staff. We do a lot of that. We also try to like understand the housing issues in the state, right? It's our job to communicate clearly about housing, right? So that's like in itself like a very complicated topic, right? Like we try to understand what the landlords are going through right now. We try to understand, some of us are landlords, you know, like we try to understand what the tenants are, you know, it's like really our job to, you know, the traditional function of journalism is to like research and explain things to people in a non-partial way, right? So like, that's really our job. It's a really kind of hard time for people to consume information because I think that, you know, thanks to the internet, there's a lot of information like out there. And I think it's really important to be very conscious of with whom you choose to work, like in terms of media, how you choose to position your brand, what you want your brand to stand for in the community. So for example, like when you guys were talking about these grants, I mean, you're trying to position yourselves as an organization that is aware of like what's going on in the world, is pro small business, is pro your local downtowns. So if you live in Morristown or Dover, like you can't really not acknowledge that you have Hispanic businesses in those places, right? So part of how you sort of like build a relationship with people is being a source of good information. Like, oh, I know about a grant that 4 of you can apply for. And it's our job to really break that down. Like, okay, when we write about this, you know, what's going on here? Like you go, and so again, that's like the who, what, where, when, and why of journalism. So when you're telling your story, you know, first of all, you want to have something to say, right? And then you also want to know like where to say it and why. So obviously one of the things that's important to us is that, you know, like you pick us, you respect us, you acknowledge that there are other products, like perhaps you might see another print thing, or you might. So I think having an understanding of the value of journalism at this time is really important. You know, if you want to have good conversations and good brands, you have to support them, right? So you have to say, okay, I don't want to see my ad next to this naked girl or whatever. I don't, and it's not because it's illegal, or it's because I don't want to support this product. I want to support this other stuff. And so I think a lot of people will have to really take that back a little bit and try to really remember, or a lot of people, especially our young people, have not been educated on like what is the value of media, like quality information, how do you do research? And I think this is a little bit frightening for a lot of us. Like, so, you know, what is the information that's valuable here, and why are we bothering to communicate it? Like, so that's one thing. I think it's really important to know, so know your outlet and read it, consume it, you know, really understand like what we write about, how we come out, can we do video? So yes, we do put out quite a bit of video. What are our capabilities on our end? We do voiceovers. We can do a lot of the functions of like a Hispanic agency. Catherine and I were talking about that yesterday. We'd like to do more of that kind of work. We don't really see these sort of multicultural agencies in New Jersey. But we are also fundamentally like a journalism brand. So we're trying to tell stories. We survive on advertising. So a large part of our business, it remains advertising. So if you have a media budget, like I talked to her about this yesterday, I'm the publisher. So to clarify, I'm the publisher. We also have like an editorial staff. So in traditional journalism, the business side and the journalism side are separate. There's a firewall right between those. So that's a really important thing that has also gotten a little blurry in our modern times. So I'm charged with like producing a financially viable media company. So like it is my job to produce revenue. Like I have to sell, and we do survive on advertising for the most part. So that's important. If you have a media budget, or you can get one, or you have a partner who has one, it's a good idea to make sure that you're strategically spending it, and then also maybe getting like the added value PR with it, right? And you can sometimes ask, or you build a relationship with a media outlet by becoming an advertiser. Obviously, a lot of organizations have small budgets, so sometimes we work with them, like we'll do translation instead of advertising. Or sometimes the information is so interesting that we have to cover it, you know, for free, right? So that's what PR, earned media, we call that really earned media.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right, earned media means you have to earn it. Like, and how do you earn it? Well, it has to be, and this has gotten more and more difficult, right? It has to be so important and interesting that we're like, we have to put this out there, right? And I think understanding what most media outlets are working with, I mean, we're working with much smaller staffs. So like, we don't have 10 reporters who can go out and cover these issues, right? We maybe have 2, like instead of 10. So you have to be even more and more interesting. Like, you know, with the COVID, you know, we don't want to see these businesses fail either. So that gives us a little bit more motivation. We are ourselves a small business, right?
Can I interrupt you? One quick question. Are you okay if we interrupt you for questions, Q&A during, yeah? Okay, so Jess, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, because I have a list of questions. So number one, obviously our organization, it's one of the areas that we've been hit hardest with is communicating with our Latino and Hispanics community. So we just received a grant to do a whole scam alert campaign, because obviously there's a big influx of scams for people to get free loan modifications or your rent paid. And our national partner has provided us with some grant funding. So I would love to know, like, what's your advertising budget? How does a small agency like us connect with you directly? And any way that we can connect with you, again, is big for us, because that's where we're not reaching our people. And I know that your newspaper is the only one that I see at all the coffee shops in town. So it's important that we connect and do our research, right? So I think that was one of my questions. So just that budget for the advertising, because we do have a print, a media, and they provided us with like I don't know what the word is.
Is it online? Is it
like
digital?
A voice talking about the problem in Spanish and English.
Okay, yeah.
PSA?
PSA, public service announcement.
Oh, look at me.
Look
All right, so a
at
public
you.
service announcement to offer. And again, that was one of the biggest things that we were challenged with, is finding a Hispanic resource, a newspaper. And I know that even the county has reached out to us, like, what do you guys work with? So this is amazing. I'm like so happy to have you here and to hear all the things that you're talking about. And I wish, total side note, that I could have my 12-year-old on this call so she can hear about reporting and how important it is and getting your facts from anywhere other than TikTok, please.
Oh my God, let's not even go there. I know.
I mean, actually, it also depends on your personality, but I was kind of like a geek in school, and I really liked going to the library as a kid, and they're now closed, most of our libraries. I think that's important to remember for our kids, like, you know, and I think that, yeah, like I have children also, and it's really like disturbing to understand that, like, they don't understand research, like they don't really understand, like, that, you know, what does it mean to live in a world where like the internet hypothesizes something, right? So actually there's like an innovation aspect to that, right? So like if the internet hypothesizes something, like it's like, oh, is that real? Is that not real? Are we now making it real? Like, for example, like a term, you know, okay, so is that a real term, or like is it becoming a term? Like, and but I think it's really hard to watch. And Catherine and I talked about this yesterday about like how we want our people, that, you know, our audience, our clients, the people who support our brands, we want them to, like, when they reach to find them, right? Like we want them to be able to reach for these things and have them be there. And if we're not careful, like, or like we want to reach for our local downtown on a Friday night and be able to go out to dinner, right? And we don't want to have to, like, we don't want to reach for it and then discover, well, geez, it's not there anymore because like we weren't paying attention. So I think that's also the value of like doing really quality work around really good brands and having these kind of like this cross-pollination of your media with your small business owner, like, yeah. So,
but one of the things that you touched on, and sorry, Jess, but one of the things that you touched on, which I think is really key, and I think, you know, it's something that we as chamber members need to make more aware to the other non-Hispanic businesses. You know, you mentioned that we are some of the largest Hispanic population, some of the most highest wage earners in the Hispanic market, right, within this county and this state. So there's a huge buying power. So if these businesses are not aware that there are business owners, that there are businesses out there, that there are other people that can be spending on your brand, and you're not tapping into them because you're not using the right methods of reaching out to them, that's a problem. But number two is that, you know, depending on the demographic that you're going after, you might not necessarily be reaching them, because whereas, you know, maybe in the 40 to 50 something age group, in the more American English speaking traditional sector, they're more likely to go online to find some of their data and some of their resources. Within the Hispanic 40 to 50-year-old demographics, they're probably still going back to the old school newspaper, right? Like they still like the paper feel. Not that, and I'm overgeneralizing, of course. Like, so don't anyone come at me with like, you know, an attack, but I'm totally going based off my own family experience, right? Like I know what my family, my aunts and my uncles and my parents would have liked to have done, even in this day of, an age of technology, compared to myself or somebody else in that demographic. So I'm just trying to make sure that people are aware of that.
I think it's really important right now to, and I'm speaking from my whole.
We can't hear you. There's some like that's the mic issue. It's the day of the mic gremlins.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Now we can. Yeah.
I also think it's really important to understand that this dichotomy between print and, say, like the real internet is something that we as publishers, obviously, and also of a society that purports to want to be like a free society with a free press, we have to sort of break this down because, you know, we have premium publisher digital. Like you can visit our website, you can share our content, you can follow our model in terms of like if you have a newsletter yourself, you know, you can make sure that when you write articles for it, or that you put them out in the way that a journalist would, right? So that you can try to, because we still really believe that this builds brands, right? That by communicating clearly in a trustworthy and attributable fashion, that you are going to build a trustworthy brand that over time has value, right? So it's not like I'm not a trader. Like I'm not on Wall Street trying to sell you this quarter, right? I'm selling you a brand. I have built a brand that like people call us and they know that like we're not perfect. Like we can't cover everything. We're not always like sexy or like we're not, you know, but we are the local product and we are for you, right? Like we're not going to cover you in the same way that a traditional, the Star Ledger is owned by like Hearst, right? So Hearst has a history of covering Blacks and Latinos in New Jersey. That is you know, how do I say this? It's sometimes racist, but it's not, it wasn't the focus of the Hearst empire to give voice to women, Blacks, or Latinos. This is not the function of this. So it's not that it's a bad product. It's a good product. It's just that, you know, we used to have woman-owned media in this country, and we don't have this anymore. So I think that we have to be sensitive to like what we're participating in and really take that seriously. And so for us, you know, I can give you my email. It's Kara.
I was just going to say, why don't you make sure you put that in the chat too, so that we can make sure we get that information.
And so I think you should know your reporters and editors. I mean, I think if there is somebody that you want to cover you, you need to know who they are. You need to know their emails and their phone numbers. You need to try to treat them respectfully and to really make their jobs easier. Make their life easier, right? It's like anything else, right? So you should try to become their client. You should try to, if you could, the more work you can do for them. So like if Catherine gives me a press release and it's already written up in Spanish and English, and she talks to me about it, we just have to tweak it, you know, it goes right out. She's basically creating content for me, right? So and she's creating content or you guys are all creating content of value. So like, okay, wait, you're telling me that you know about something, you know, a way for a local business owner to get $1,650 right now, and you can, you know, so like that makes you valuable in the eyes of those people who then later will say, hey, like, aren't these the people like that they were like giving out grants or something? Like, you know, I mean, I understand that seems a little bit lame or whatever, but you know, it's also saying like, hey, and for example, there's a lot of money flowing around, right? Like there's a lot of grants coming from NJEDA, and this money is coming through, and like some people didn't get it, or some people don't know how to ask for it, or these, you know, the PPP this, and which bank is doing the PPP, and like if you're claiming you're a local bank for the Hispanic business owner, did you do those, and why are they coming through a bank? And people have a lot of questions, and people are doing a lot of communicating, I think, like, oh, go on this phone call, but they're not always like answering the people's questions, right? Like people have specific concerns, and I think that we are charged with profitably engaging people, right? Like with quality information.
And something else that we talked about yesterday that I said when you mentioned it, I went ding, 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 talk about that, the trust issues and how you're able to get out and address the trust issues in the community, right?
Yeah, and people, I mean, it's like, how do you build trust? Okay, so people call us and people complain. Like, we wrote about food insecurity over the weekend, and somebody called me and he said, you know, I don't see that you've provided a list here. We've reported on this issue of continued food insecurity. So like, you know, there's been some food insecurity, there's money around this issue of food and quality food and raising cost of food, like rising cost of food. And you guys wrote about food insecurity, and he said to me, you didn't mention where people can go for the food. And I said, so first I said to him, like, are you food insecure? Like, do you need me to help you today? Like, are you yourself looking for food? And he told me, no, I'm not food insecure. I'm really into journalism, and I really want to talk about the newspaper, which I like, of course. And I want to talk about how you didn't tell me like where I can go for the food. And I was like, all right, so let me think about this. I'm gonna call you back, because he called me on a Sunday. I usually don't pick up, but I picked up. And I found a place where they are compiling that information. So now, but like people have to understand, we have 566 towns in New Jersey. They are all doing something different on food. They probably have 3 to 5 to 10 organizations, if they have anyone, doing food stuff, like for a variety of reasons. Some people.
And I'm just going to give you the heads up. I do have to wrap you up in about 30 seconds. Okay.
Try to see it from the point of view of the journalist, like even the most reputable lawyer, the best lawyer, or the best journalist, or, you know, is working in an environment and a lot of lawyers are not good. A lot of journalists are not good. Or even the person who starts the day with the best intentions is not always able to produce the work the way that they would like to, right? So I think that's important for everyone to keep in mind, like, and then you want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, right? So
beautiful.
Right, like, so, and we
Perfect.
feel that we are offering a really, really important solution that's not always recognized in the marketplace as a solution, and so I think that is important. And so the main thing is, let me give you my email. It's Kara.
Yes.
Okay. Kara Mar. Oh, do I type it in here? I think the most.
Right. So there's a little chat window on the little bottom row there. So if you hit the bubble, this is chat. You can type it in.
And that'll come out to everybody. Perfect. Before we close off, we only have about 10 minutes because I do want to make sure that I get everybody out of here on time. We have a little bit less than 13 minutes or so to go. There's a couple of things that I kind of want to brainstorm. And again, we are going to have the meeting now in a reoccurring schedule, which is definitely going to help the attendance. So please make sure you put it on your calendars. And what are we today? Today is the 27th. 27th of January. So we are going to be the 27th of January. Sorry, I'm losing my mind here. 2, 3, 4. So we're technically the fourth, the last week of every single month at 9 a.m. So just please make sure you check the calendar for that so that you can make sure you attend all the meetings. But we have a lot of great ideas that we also came up with from that first meeting that we kind of wanted to come back and circle. So if you can just put this in the back burner. I want to leave it open for a couple of minutes of discussion before we close out. We talked a little bit about, and I believe, Jessica, you had a counterpart that you had invited to one of the meetings where there was a collaborative effort between the Morris Arts and the Latinx community about doing some sort of, huge festival type thing with culture and music and artists and movies and maybe dancing or something that really portrayed a bunch of different cultures in, to the masses for a festival. Of course, COVID happened. That didn't pan out because it's COVID. So we're trying to figure out a way to do it virtually. And as it should happen, I actually had a call with Morris Arts yesterday, who loves the idea of doing something virtually that would actually showcase various methods of art on a virtual platform and on a virtual scale like that. So I think I would love to kind of take that on as well for the summer, since it doesn't look like we're going to be able to have all the restrictions lifted for the summertime and not going to have the masses that we would normally have. One of the ideas that I'm kind of thinking about is, wouldn't it be great if we could have something like what Holly mentioned, something that you can watch at the liberty of your own time that kind of focused on the Morris Arts within the Morris County community, but not just in English speaking, but also in Spanish speaking, so that you can have it both ways. So I'm actually going to talk to a couple of the videographers and media companies that are out there about maybe trying to do some sort of partnership to maybe pull off this event. So it's something that, was kind of brought up about a couple of months ago. Now that we're kind of getting closer to it, I'd like to kind of open it up and see if you guys think it's feasible, not feasible. Am I thinking way too huge? Am I thinking like, should I start smaller? Like what's your thought on that? And if it were to happen, obviously I would need to make sure that we can get the word out so that we can get volunteers and start planning it, because I would love to aim for like a August timeframe so that we have plenty of time to get something like that going. So unmute yourselves, throw it at me, kind of just free ball, all the conversation around here.
I still want to see the Mayan Prince dance. That's all I have to say. I want to see the Mayan Prince dance. I think it's a great idea. I don't know if they could do like how Holly said, like maybe like a dinner and a show kind of thing through the chamber. And I don't know if they're doing a Morris Arts as a nonprofit has maybe a fundraiser and maybe, I don't know, coordinate that way with them. I'm thinking with my nonprofit hat, but I love it. But I really want to see the
Mayan Prince.
To geek out for a second and just to show you what a digital nerd I am. And mainly I'm rambling because it's what I do. It brings me back to Penn State. At 5 o'clock every Friday at Penn State, we would go to Cafe 210 West, and there would be this guy with an acoustic guitar, and you would shout requests out to him, and everyone would drink pitchers of beer as fast as you could, and then you would take the plastic container of the beer, and everyone in the audience would use it as percussion and play along with him. How great is that? How great is that? And he would sit there and play his guitar, and everyone would play the percussion for him. All right. So all over Facebook, I don't know if you've seen this, there are different live musicians that are doing this, and it's BYOB, and they have in the link Venmo things, like a tip jar. So you can tip them and you type in your request and they're playing. So when you're saying this now, I've been thinking of it for the Morris Arts. If we have the musicians doing this and we do set up like happy hour schedule. So I don't even know if it's like a day, but make it like a celebration of a month or a week instead of different times for performances where the fundraising can be similar in terms of Venmo and PayPal tips during the performances. A thought, throwing it. It's what I do. Boom. There you go.
I love that.
I think it's cool and it's easy and it's something to do at home and we don't have to go out. So it's
and it's
safe.
I love that it's the tip jar very inherently fits the concept of a performance. And there you go.
And there's
So-
also the different cultures included. So
The
I think
different
that's
cultures, and it's just something to do, like Holly said, like a Friday night with a bottle of wine. You like sign up for the different things. That's entertainment at night. You pick like a 5 o'clock thing you want to do, a 7 o'clock, and not whatever it is. And we have different performances going on, and you can tip it out.
I've seen it where
I
you can
love
even
it.
like make requests too, right? Like I've seen
And
these
you,
performers
and
that
you
like you can make a request.
exactly
And
the
it's
same.
that
There's a little
live.
Chat bar. It's that live,
Yeah,
that real time.
that's really cool.
Hear me? Can you-
Yes.
Now we can, yes.
So also, I also think it's really interesting. Also, when you talk about like solving problems, like it's also something that it's great because you can do it virtually now. You could also maybe do it later, not virtually, right? Because you remember it's kind of like another.
Right.
And it solves a couple of issues, like right. So like was one of the challenges when you talk about Hispanic marketing and also like then trying to work in the general market because you know a lot of really smart people when they get pigeonholed into segment work, you know they feel they become a token or they feel they can't grow their careers, right? So the idea that like how do you cross pollinate? Like so if you have a really beautiful Mexican restaurant or you have a really beautiful independent singer songwriter who's like and your challenge is okay we don't have enough live music in our town, this could be like a unifying thing, right, as opposed to like a like because I know for me like we don't really have a cool place in my area to see live music, right? So and you think okay well we always see like Jennifer Lopez on TV, which I really love her, but like by the second or third time that she dominates the live events you think well aren't there other singer songwriters and don't we have some responsibility also to promote others? So I really like the idea that you could kind of be part of like building things. And I think that motivates people. And also, I think that it's really important to help to be part of like helping people who are less fortunate than ourselves, and also to avoid falling into a pitfall where we make all of our work around multicultural or women or whatever, kind of like about how they are so needy, right? Like when really we all need like live music. So I like the idea that you're so smart about the tech and you guys are so great about that. And the idea that we can also use it to build something beyond that too. So I think
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I when they mentioned that they had been trying to do something, I was like, you know what, this sounds awesome. Like, why can't we do it virtually? Like, I have a client of mine that does these virtual concerts all the time. Like, let's tap into the resources that we know and have, and let's see if we can do it. So, but before
yeah, but let's take advantage of the realities we know with COVID, right? People are eating at home. But create that like what Cara was saying, like the cafe, the live music cafe scenario where you're bringing your own food that maybe you did from an Uber Eats or you got from the Morris County virtual storefront, right? And you're doing the BYOB with your own booze, and you log on and you're listening to live music and putting in your requests. It's bringing it all to your table, right?
I have one more thing to add is I'm thinking about the small mom and pop dance studios for the kids in the area. Maybe they could do a performance for us because then it promotes. I tried to put my daughters in it. They were not about it. But the kids are adorable. And then before they do a performance, typically the instructor himself talks about like the relevance of the dance. So it gives the kids an opportunity to showcase what they've been working on. And then we can also promote the small studio in our town. So that might
Since you know so many people down in that area, if you know anyone who teaches flamenco, oh my God, I am dying to take a virtual flamenco class again. I used to take it years ago and I'm dying. So if you know anyone.
One of my good friends owned a dance studio, so I could get you.
And she teaches flamenco. Oh my God, if she teaches flamenco, I am there. Like, I don't care how, like, I need to do flamenco again.
I'll get you the info.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So.
I need Argentinian tango. That is like, right? It's like the snap. It's so good. It's so good.
Everybody likes dance and people are really struggling. Like, how do you dance? Like, I mean, some people are just dancing around in their house and they're just great. And like, for some of the rest of us, you're like, oh, they're, like, and not everybody is, a star athlete or not everybody is comfortable with the military industrial complex and sports. It's great and everything, but so I think that we could be part of like more innovation. Like, okay, we want to see them dancing. So how do we do that? Like, we want our kids moving. We want to move better in a different way. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to let everybody, so that you can mark your calendars, our next meeting will be 2/24 at 9 a.m. So if you already
9 a.m.
So 2/24 at 9 a.m.
Perfect. Thank you. And with that, unless anyone has anything else to wrap it up, please remember the link is on the chat for the virtual storefront. We would love to get the applicants to submit their information ASAP so that we can get those four first businesses selected ASAP. So there's a PDF on there that you can print out. Get it out. We're in the process of actually converting the EDC page that is up there right now into Spanish and translating it too, so that we can have both copy in English and in Spanish. So please, share it out and tell people about it.
Hey,
Yes,
Lorena,
Chris.
Do businesses have to be located in Morris County to go into the?
Yes.
They do, okay.
Yes.
So not just doing business in Morris County.
No, my understanding is that it has to be a brick and mortar, like a brick and mortar shop out of Morris County.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you guys know people and you could get them to apply already, the site is up, it's running.
Yep.
So definitely the more voices we get out there, the better. Because one of the things that I'm trying to do with the chamber is if I can really get these 4 people to apply and this thing to take off, then I want to go back and try to get more money to try to help minority and Latino businesses. So if these 4 really succeed, then I get the opportunity to go back and ask for some more money.
Right.
Once you've selected the 4, that is of course a story, right? So like you could say to me, okay, here's a picture of the 4.
That's exactly it. We need the first 4 so that we can use them as our testimonials and use them as our case studies.
Like proof and concept, right? Yeah.
So we're gonna put together an ad. I already spoke to our person, and we're gonna put it on the Connecting Dover page. So be on the lookout, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna get tons of emails and questions.
You are the best.
It'll be out this afternoon, or probably before the end of the week.
And Friday, I'm calling you, so we'll connect on Friday.
Yes, and I check my calendar. After 11 o'clock, I'm good.
After 11, I'll give you a call.
Awesome.
Beautiful. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to share about our next meeting, and we will see you then.
Have a
Bye,
great
Tara,
day, guys.
thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. It was great seeing you. Bye.
Lorena, my contact doesn't know anybody who does that dancing. I'm just texting her.
Damn. All right.
All right. Only New York, she said.
I know. That's where I used to take it. It was in New York.
Oh, you've established a demand. Now you just have to,
I know. And I just have to find somebody.
Excellent.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, bye. Have a great day.